Well, it was mentioned before, you've got the rest of Mission Bay, which needs to be built out. You've got almost a dozen approved high-rises going from Rincon Hill to downtown. You've got the Trans Bay project, you've got the Central Subway, you've got Treasure Island. All of those are going to be rolling out in the next 4 to 8 years. And the effect of that kind of development is huge, not just locally and right in the area, but citywide, because the development that we do on this scale is what pays for our infrastructure maintenance and repair. So in this district, and especially right where we are, it's not just the things like rebuilding our water treatment system, but it's things like preparing for water rise as a result of global warming. These are issues that are going to affect you all here along the waterfront more than anyone. You need somebody with land use expertise to actually talk about that and make sure that that's being dealt with in this area.
Let me just ask a follow-up,
sure.
If I can. Since we only have 4 candidates, we have a little bit of extra time, I think, than we thought we would. How would you go about evaluating a project if it comes, before the board, or you certainly dealt with a lot of land use issues? What are the things you put in the balance to decide whether something is too big, not worth doing, not worth doing, we need to get more extractions?
One of the things that we have done in the past 4 years, and Jim Meko and a lot of you folks in the area, in the neighborhood here and in this auditorium tonight, have created the evaluation process. The city is looking more at what the community needs. We have a healthy planning tool that's been created. If developers look at this healthy planning tool, they can see what communities have and don't have around public benefits. So if you need a park, or if you need open space, or if you need a school, or if you need better transit, those things need to be included in development. In addition, the citywide issues that we need to look at are the citywide mitigation into a transit fund, so that we make sure we have BRT and those type of things. You also need to look at the long-term effects of how are we going to build in a way that protects our shoreline against the encroachment. These are real things that you have to look at with every proposal.
District 6 is not a blank slate. It's not as if there was nothing here before. We have an established community. There's lots of room for growth. Make no doubt about that at all. Lots of room for smart growth. But the first thing you should do, and it's what we learned as part of the Western SOMA planning process, is to preserve and enhance what we already have. That's what's gone wrong with the lack of planning we've had over the last 15 or 20 years. No overall plan, no principles to guide that plan, and as a result we have growth scattered all over the community with no infrastructure to tie it together. The Western SOMA planning process began by almost a year of coming together, finding our common vision and values before we ever began to contemplate changing the zoning, and I think that was very effective.
You said you talked about smart growth. Can you think of an example of dumb growth in this district, or something that you think should not have gotten built or got built badly?
Where do I begin?
Wherever you want.
Okay, I mean, my first example is the fact that they put residential construction around Caltrain, right across the street from railroad yards, across from the noise and the poor air quality and everything, and they never even got around to putting in sidewalks. That's not smart growth. They have displaced numerous small businesses that provided all of the working class jobs for the city, and they forced those people, those businesses out of the city when the financial district needs those goods and services, and so now they have to commute all the way into the city and out of the city, and that's not smart growth.
So priorities for land use. First is making sure that we have enough open space. Currently in the city, there's more real estate for parking for vehicles than there are open space for humans. We want to make sure that there's adequate open space for us to build community, playgrounds for our children, spaces for our seniors, and for our dogs. Second is what I mentioned before, is encouraging small businesses back into our neighborhoods. So whether you're an emerging district, emerging neighborhood like South Beach, or more historic neighborhood like Tenderloin or West Dome, I hear constantly that people want more ground floor retail that's hiring locally, that's creating jobs, but also creates some of the unique character of our neighborhoods. The third is pedestrian safety. I think that is actually one of the largest issues in this district. We have many freeways crisscrossing in this district, and also a lot of people coming out from downtown going west to the home. So we need to calm a lot of the traffic on certain corridors, so prioritize certain streets like 2nd, like Folsom, certain streets in the Tenderloin to be pedestrian first corridors, make them 2 ways and calm the traffic, and make other corridors priorities for vehicles.
In this district, we have 2 of the 3 largest projects in the United States, or 2 of the 3 largest projects in San Francisco, which are some of the largest infrastructure projects in the country in Treasure Island redevelopment and the Transbay Terminal. Both of those are going forward at this point, but I think we still need to get more input on the impact of those. I think we absolutely need an economic cost development analysis on every project going forward, not only to deem the normal CEQA process and the EIR process, which evaluates the environmental and the development impacts, but we need to determine what the economic impact is, both on infrastructure costs, infrastructure requirements, and also what it brings to our community as far as economic empowerment, increase in economic vitality of the city. So I think a cost-benefit analysis, as in most any private industry we need is done, we need to do it for all development projects as well.
What would your priorities be, though, in terms of what would you be looking for in a project to say whether or not it's worth doing or changing?
Well, I think we need to focus on 2 or 3 areas, and I've said this many times. Clean tech is an excellent area for San Francisco. It's a good business for us to get into. High-tech app development. I was at the department heads meeting this morning. We have over 800 app developers in San Francisco now. We could increase, and we could double or triple of that in a very short period of time. The city could provide very simple infrastructure additions and infrastructure projects which would increase the viability of these projects. We need to get some of these smart innovators, smart entrepreneurs, and I think those kinds of projects would be my preference to go forward. Things such as high-tech development, things of life science development, biotech development, projects that also interface with the university system. I think those would absolutely be my priorities. And I think there's things we could do in the city that are very, very simple, not only to encourage them, but through incubation and acceleration to help them commercialize.
We see a lot of development already in the pipeline. We've had 990 Polk Street come up just recently. We know that 10th and Mission has been built. Yet, you know, San Francisco is a finite space. It's 49 square miles of, you know, peninsula here on the West Coast. Where else are we going to build? Are we going to take away our park space, our open space? Are we going to fill every corner with a high-rise? I'd like to see a lot of the buildings that are empty or vacant being used to help create new housing. Yet, even with the buildings that are in the pipeline right now, we know that we've got people who are living in SROs here, not only in Tenderloin, but in the Mission District and in District 3. We need to start moving those people through the system. We can't continue to have them warehoused. And in that fashion, once we start moving them through, we can refurbish and change the existing SROs, get them up to code, and then bring people who are homeless off the streets and then put them into those SROs and then get them with wraparound services. So yes, we do need to be more careful about the building of new buildings, yet we do have a housing stock here that we can use.
I believe the first priority for District 6 is affordable housing. District 6 and District 10 are 2 of the areas where development can still occur, more so than any of the other districts in San Francisco. Some of the concerns and some of the things I would like to see built within the District 6 area is, like I said, affordable housing, both condos and rental properties, housing for lower income individuals, as well as greening for parks, and also for nonprofits, such as arts groups throughout the District 6 area as we progress in building. As far as a cost and a benefit analysis, I think we need to invest in, and this is something that we need to look at as a benefit, we need to invest in the individuals here that are living in San Francisco and those that we want to bring to San Francisco, and make sure that it's affordable for people to live here in our city. Especially when I hear, comments made at City Hall where people say they have to live outside the area because they can't afford to live in San Francisco.
District 6, I believe, already has a lot of projects that are actually coming down the pike, such as the third line rail that goes to Chinatown, and the new Transbay Terminal, and the Mid-Market Corridor, as well as the Treasure Island. So basically what I would like to see is that during these projects we take into consideration the fact that so many of our environs have been displaced, and make sure that they can, like I said with the microloans, buy into some of this housing, and then we can move people out of the shelters into the places that they used to occupy. And I think that we really need to remember that this is becoming quite an art-centric neighborhood, and that's a great way to involve the community in projects that are art-centric, that will also promote the CBD in South of Market. And I think we need to incorporate sort of the smaller businesses in that plan, as well as, and smaller theaters that aren't able to make it because of new housing laws and construction codes and variances. We need to make sure that places that are already established get to have first choice of new places that might benefit them, and we should take them into consideration in the neighborhood to ensure that we keep the sustainability and the character of the neighborhood vibrant.
That's a good question. That's a very important question for the district. I'm a strong believer in development in District 6. One of the benefits that we have is we have a pretty good access to mass transit. I'm a big supporter of the new buildings that are building on the mid-market area, which will bring thousands of new residents into the district, and they will not have to use cars because they will be right on Market Street. I also support building new housing in the eastern Soma neighborhood, where there are many vacant lots still, and parking lots and underutilized real estate, where we can put new buildings without displacing existing residents. That is the part of the district where I support more high-rise development. Now, much of western Soma, on the other hand, is not a place for high-rise development. It doesn't have good access to transit, and it's already almost fully developed out. So if I had to concentrate development and prioritize development, I would do it along Market Street and in eastern Soma, not in western Soma, and not in the Tenderloin, because the Tenderloin, after all, is almost completely built out already.